Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a multi-class build guide for the Oath of the Frozen Wilds Paladin made by GIGeorge with the College of Winterspear made by myself. I actually got this idea from a comment because the Bard and the Paladin go together extremely well. So we'll be starting with the Oath of the Frozen Wilds here, which gives you the Frigid Bulwark, so you can encase yourself in a protective barrier of shimmering ice and frost, giving you temporary health points equal to your level twice, and then your proficiency bonus on top. You cannot be moved against your will, and you get resistance to slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning damage. And we also have our oaths here. We get to take a passive Frozen Mastery here. I really like the Frostborn Sentinel here because you get a Retribution, the Freezing Retribution ability. And then we also deal additional cold damage. The Ice Weaver is nice too. This will give you a Chilling Blast cantrip, which deals cold damage and fires a beam, kind of like Eldritch Blast. And whenever you deal cold damage with a higher level spell, you inflict Shattering Cold against your target. So, kind of depends if you want to go more melee or spell casting focus. Actually, I'm going to go with the Ice Weaver here. Both are fun though. I tried them out. They're really good. We actually are very lucky because this will use Charisma. I, however, prefer going with a dexterity-based paladin here with the bard, just because they all kind of combine together. So the stat spread I would like to go with is something like this. If you do want to use strength, you could use a strength potion and really jack that number up even higher than you could normally get otherwise, and then still keep the initiative bonus from dexterity. At our second level, we get our Divine Smites. What's great about this is we can then get our Bard spell levels to level those up even higher. That's one of the reasons that multiclass is so good, because the Paladin's a half caster. We get a fighting style here, and I like to take the defense for the +1 to armor class. And we're going to take command. That's one of the spells that the Bard doesn't get access to, and then we'll take the other smites. Shield of Faith can be nice to increase our armor class, or Bless if you don't have someone else on the team that's going to have those covered. And once we get to level 3 here, we get our Frozen Soul class action. So you can channel your oath to inflict a soul-chilling numb on the enemy. The target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or become vulnerable to cold damage and frightened. And then all attack rolls against it will have advantage. So this is really good because you can set this up to basically just go after one target and deal a lot of damage to them. We also have the Heart of the Blizzard class action here, doing 2d8 plus 2 cold damage, unleashing a deadly shockwave of freezing energy. Enemies that are in a 6-meter radius, or creatures, will make a Constitution saving throw or take 4 to 18 cold damage and become frozen. Frozen sets up your bludgeoning force and thunder damage to deal double damage. So we actually are really good with setting up damage multiple ways. We also get the Frigid Smite here, so you can imbue your weapon with freezing energy. On hit, it'll deal additional cold damage and possibly inflict the piercing frost on your enemy. And you get Armor of Agathis, a fantastic spell, making us actually quite strong at this level. Once we get to level 4, we're going to get our Lay Hands charged to help out with healing on the team. We got all the spells we want, really. I'd actually recommend go with Alert Feat here, or an increase to her Charisma. Savage Attacker can work too, because that helps out with our smites. Once we get level 5, we get our extra attack here, and we also get Glacial Breath, a level 2 spell doing a 46 of cold damage, possibly making them fall prone. And we also get Hold Person. Awesome spell, makes sense. Ice holds things in place. We'll then take the Branding Smite. Aid is also really nice because this can be used with your Bard spell levels to then get a much higher health out of it. We'll also take the Aura Protection here. This is just really good, especially because we'll be taking Charisma increases later on. And normally we would go with the Oath of the Frozen Fortitude, but I think at this point it's a little bit better to go with the Bard here. So this gives us our Mage Hand, which is nice because we can use that to throw water bottles to also set up damage. Vicious Mockery being a great spell as well. And later on there's items we can get to cast it as a bonus action. We'll take Thunderwave, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Dissonant Whispers, and Healing Word. Longstrider can be a nice one too. Thunderwave is fun though because it's going to push enemies back onto our ice, but also if they're frozen, they'll take double damage from that. We get an extra short rest at level 2. Fantastic. Disguise Self here or Longstrider, even something like the Fairy Fire, although not thematic, fire and ice, it's an option. We'll then go ahead with taking the College of Winterspear here. So this is the subclass that I made. I've done videos breaking it down in further detail, but the gist of it is we get 2 bonus action abilities here, doing a 2d4 because we're leveled up of cold damage, either giving a disadvantage on attack rolls or making their movement speed reduced. We also get the Ice Cat here, Icy Missile, which is like Magic Missile but makes a surface, Chromatic Orb, and Conjure Cranberry Juice. So this gives you a heal as well as it makes water bottles for you to throw. And then we get to take a passive here. Now, there's a few that work really well. I like the Chilling Feedback. Basically, if an attacker misses you, you can chill them, and then that means you deal double cold damage. We get a new passive at every level too. We'll then take the Friends Cantrip, and for spells that we'll take at level 2 here, Crown of Madness can be kind of decent. I also like Invisibility, and Knock just helps you with some of the more annoying parts of the game. And at this point, I like the Holly and Jolly Infusements for the additional damage on our attacks here. So 2 Necrotic or 2 Force. Actually, we'll go with the Force first. And then we'll go with an ability score improvement on our charisma here, just because that's going to boost our aura protection from the paladin and everything we got here, because we're now more of a spellcaster once we hit level 5. We get sculpt spells. Basically, you could little pockets in our spells evocation ones here, protecting our teammates. So our ice beam and our ice ball here will not hurt our team. On top of this, we also get another spell here. I'd actually recommend Glyph of Warding. If you're a half elf, you can put everybody to sleep using that. And then we'll go with our Holly Infusement there. Evergreen Sting is nice too, because if you get healed, you do additional poison damage. And there's a few ways that we can actually heal ourselves later on. Level 6 gives us another choice in spell. Plant Growth can be kind of nice because it's not concentration based. And then we'll go with the, actually Ice Bite's nice for the increased critical hit chance. Honestly, that's pretty good. Increased crits is so useful in this game. Level 7 gives us a different version now. I have a smite here. I actually wouldn't recommend using my smite. I actually recommend using their smite because mine costs a level 2 spell slot, so it's a little bit more costly in its effects. But we also get these summon ice skeletons here. You don't get to control them. They just attack naturally, so you don't have to worry. They'll just go attack random, which is great. We also get Ice Storm and Sleet Storm. What's nice about these two is since we got aid from the Paladin, we can actually heal them and keep them pretty topped up in their health. We can also take Invisibility or Confusion here. I really like Greater Invisibility. You can use that to be kind of stealthy at this point. We also unlock more passives here, so my personal preference is going with a Bite of the Ballad here, which will apply 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost whenever you apply a condition on the enemy, so honestly pretty good. Level 8 gives us our Aurora's Guided Arrow. This is our 3rd Bardic Inspiration ability, which lets us attack enemies from range and trick shot. We also get our Ice Bow and Owl Bear at this level, which then takes us to our next spell, which we can take Confusion. And then we get to take another passive here, which I like to take the Winter's Crescendo, adding additional cold damage onto our attacks. And then we'll may as well max out our charisma at this point. Savage Attacker is another really good choice because that just makes us reroll our damage die. We'll then take Snow Arrow here, which is like Lightning Arrow, and Cone of Cold. Great area cover. You can get Cone of Cold from the Frozen Wilds Paladin too. We'll take Hold Monster, just fits thematically here. And we get more passives here, and I like to take the Rhyme Brand for more Encrusted with Frost so that we're having an easier time freezing targets. Once we get to level 10 here, we then get some more spells. Minor Illusion's nice for out of combat. Dominate Person can be funny. We also then get to take, we could go Conjure Elemental for the Water Elemental. I always like to have Counterspell there, just a good safety net. We also could take Misty Step. That's one of the things that's missing from the Vengeance Paladin. And Spirit Guardians is honestly going to be probably the best choice here. I'll give an honorable mention to Hunger of Hadar as well. And Banishing Smite is kind of fun too. I'm going to go with Banishing Smite. But honestly, the best two would be Spirit Guardians and Counterspell. We also get to take another one here. Frosty Finale, dealing cold damage, will potentially apply a chill to the target. That's from an item you can get in Act 1. So it's something you could be doing the entire game if you wanted to. We'll then take our +5s to Persuasion and Deception there. Nice. And then once we get to level 11, this gives us the Chain Ice Beam and Odaluk's Freezing Sphere. We then also can take some more spells here. And with this, we get, I guess, another choice in passive here. Polar Restore can make us really tanky. This gives us health whenever we take enemies out. Ice Bite's also nice if you really want to jack up the critical hits. Virtuoso's Aim, if you wet a target, you get advantage on it. But the Paladin actually gives us that bonus action advantage, which is nice too. And then level 12, I'll Wall of Ice and Summon Snowman. I haven't really showed this off too much in builds, but it's a really fun summon that's powerful. We'll then take Otto's Irresistible Dance, and we'll go with the Evergreen Sting there. Whenever we get healed, we do additional damage. And then we'll go with an increase to our Dexterity, or we could go with the Savage Attacker, because with that, we reroll our damage, and that's honestly pretty crazy. It's just a flat-out DPS boost all across the board on melee. We'll then go ahead. You can swap back to the Paladin here, but we don't get anything really new from that, as the Oath spells are similar to what we've already gotten from this subclass. Planar Binding, I guess, and then we'll just go with you can go with an increased a bite there, or Icewind Resonance, which can apply Reverberation. Reverberation's fun because it gives the enemies negatives to their dex saves, and then they're more likely to slip on ice. We also get the Ice Skeletons ×6 at level 14, which is really good. This kind of makes you like an Ice Death Knight, like almost like World of Warcraft in a sense. You get Ice Skeletons, cold damage, you can smite. Pretty fun combo. And then we can take Mass Cure Wounds. And our final spell, or passive, will be either Ice Bite for a better critical hit chance. Icefill Solace can give you a bit of healing too, which can proc our gear, but I actually think that going with the crit chance is nice. The other passives are good on dedicated builds if you wanted something a little different. We actually get 2 spells at this level, kind of. That's from the level 13 of 20 mod, but I guess Silence can be good too if there's any spellcasters we need to shut down. Now there's a lot of gear options. Honestly, the Reverberation gear would be good. Snowburst Ring is nice too if you want to set up surfaces. Shadow Cloak Ring for a bit of extra damage. My recommendation, though, is we're going to use the weapons from the Bard. So don't forget, we do have a Winter's Balance passive here, which we can set up an aura for our team to not slip on, which is really good for obviously protecting them all. And then we're going to summon our weapons here, the Ice Bow, so that we get a very powerful bow that feels thematic to this, and the Ice Blade, which gives us 2 daggers, which are also quite strong and have that cool cold appearance to them. And make sure you have the Winter's Balance passive on with the Bard, because this will make it so that no one slips. Very important for this. I don't really cover gear and mod builds, but there's so many good options out there that you can get creative with it. The thing is, I made this subclass in mind with cover and gear, so you can honestly get by with nothing. You just have a lot of passives that kind of pick up the slack, but honestly, just use your best. It has medium armor proficiency, so armor of agility or anything like that. Now, the thing is with Paladin's Channel Oath charges, we got 2 options to choose from per short rest. So we could use the Frozen Soul Wisdom save there to make the target vulnerable to cold damage. This is great if you have a boss type enemy you want to burst down. Or we can go with the Frigid Bulwark, which will be more defensive purpose. This does take a full action, but for 5 turns you get resistance to physical damages and you get additional health, which is nice. Now, it just really depends what you want to go against. I'm going to use a Frozen Soul here against this target. 98% chance of succeeding. Good, we locked them in. We now have crit chance against them. And we're going to use the Frigid Smite. As I mentioned, this is going to be a better choice. You can also get a Frigid Ranged Smite if you want to, but we got advantage on the attack roll against them, so we may as well go there. I love the look of these daggers when you smite, and we'll just go ahead here. Boom, taking them out. Yeah, that was a lot of damage. And that's actually because I put on that ring that adds an additional bit of damage there. So yeah, it was 44 cold plus 2 plus 2 plus 24 cold damage on that. Not bad. But again, that's kind of using up a full Channel Oath charge, your bonus action in one of your attacks, and a spell slot to get that. So yeah, it's not something you can consistently do. We also do have these ranged smites, which are really fun. I always appreciate ranged versions of smites whenever there's a class that's got that. Taking them out, if you had the Snowburst ring on, that would have been another patch of snow that you would have set up on the enemy. Now, we did our 2 actions. I would actually recommend also to do a spell. We get Luke's Freezing Sphere, which is one of the best if you just need a large crowd control, because you can just pop this down, and boom, you now have a large patch of ice the enemy has to traverse. And the fun part about ice builds is you can actually kite the enemies really well, because you just run away, and it's just going to force the enemies to run towards you and potentially slip and fall on the ice. Things like Ray of Frost, the bonus action Ray of Frost too. I didn't show that, but that's from the Bard. It's good because you can kite enemies with that as well. And when you're kiting them, one of the most fun things about this is the Aurora's Guided Arrow, because this is like if you don't have a chance of hitting them, you can actually like trick shot these and warp them around areas. But you also have our regular old arrows that we can use, like an arrow of many targets. This is good because we're doing cold damage and all the extra damage off to multiple enemies, and we got advantage against the target. Unfortunately, I had no line of sight, so it didn't end up doing anything, but we applied Encrusted with Frost 4 stacks on the enemy. Pretty nice. I'll do another arrow of many targets here to try and hit that target, and probably, yeah, we got Encrusted with Frost on a few of them. You want to try and set up as many stacks as possible, because you can freeze the enemy without having to use one of these other abilities here. But we do have our Frigid Smite that we can just attack with at close range. The long range one's nice too. That was enough to take them out in one shot there. And then we have 1 attack action left. Now, another fun thing is this has, the blades come with 3 special attacks. So you get the Hush You, which silences a target. Frostbend Strike, which can heal you if you need and does additional damage. And the Frosty Butterflies, which can set up these Frosty Butterflies that do psychic damage in the area of effect. It looks cool and you get advantage against the target. So we have no shortage of advantage with this setup. Now, another thing that's nice is we do have our Throw Snowball, which is going to be like a Ray of Frost, which can reduce their movement speed and sets of conditions. So that condition also applies reverberation. It's very synergetic. And since we took Counterspell, we can stop the commands from happening. That's one of the reasons why I love taking that spell, because one of the only downsides is crowd control spells like that can completely just destroy us. So honestly, any chance that we can get to reduce something like that from happening is something you want to take. We also have, I guess, our Glacial Breath here, which is like an ice breath attack. It does have Upcast, which do a little bit of extra damage there. And if that doesn't take them out, it was going to freeze them. We got the Shattering Cold applied, which gives them negatives to their saving throws in armor class. Great, because we're just going to further debuff them. But I'm also a big fan of using Freezing Ray. I love this spell because you can get Encrusted with Frost off of the enemy really easily using this, and boom, you're just going to spread around to multiple enemies. And since we got the extra damage riders, it becomes pretty crazy. So yeah, that is a very fun but powerful multi-class of the Oath of the Frozen Wilds Paladin by GIGeorge and the College of Winterspirit Bard. Go download both of these. You won't regret it. They're really fun and great if you like a cold style build. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. We'll catch y'all in the next one.